you want to get in a bit, Mark? Just a bit. Right, we're live.
Hello.
Hello. We
Welcome.
went back to old school because we forgot our hats last week.
Yeah.
So we've gone back to old school.
Yeah, keep real.
Yeah, and we kept running out of ideas of what different hats to use. So we're just going to stick to tinfoil hat because it is technically tinfoil hat news.
That's us, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a trademark.
So we'll give it a few minutes and see if anybody comes in. We've got a couple of people, but we'll just give it a few minutes, shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we, Mark?
Yeah.
Give it a few minutes. We could put some music on. Oh, Ben's in. Ben's in. Woody Black's in.
Brilliant. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. We'll give it a few minutes. We got 4 people in now before we start tinfoil hat news. Mari's in.
Hey, Murray.
Mark's in. Always a good start. Yeah, we're going to stick to tinfoil hats, Ben. We completely forgot last week. I don't think anybody noticed.
Johnny Fettler, welcome.
Hi, Johnny. I don't think anybody noticed we forgot our hats last week. So we're just going to keep it real and stick to tinfoil hats, basically, because we've run out of ideas and we are called tinfoil hat news, so it seems to make sense.
Oh,
so we're just going to stick with the foil.
Yeah.
Yeah. The foil frauds.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
Hey.
Cosmic Twilight.
Hello.
We're going to be seeing you soon in Glasgow, aren't we? Right. When should we make a start, Mark? In a few minutes, or should we make a start now? We've got 8 in there. Should we make a start?
Yeah, we can make a start.
Right. I'll get into character. There. Okie dokie. Here is the news. British homeowners are receiving CPOs, compulsory purchase orders, so their homes can be redistributed to migrants. The same law was adopted in Holland last year, who we've never met, via a dubious satellite link for boomers, according to my son. So, because we don't have anything posh and fancy, but we are going to get something posh and fancy, we got to do it like this. So, we really wanted to play you this video, but because we're not posh and fancy, but we are getting there. We got a new mic. Yeah. Do we sound fantastic?
Yeah, this is known as split screen. But
so we're going to hand you over to our reporter on the scene via dubious satellite link at split screen. Yeah. We've been practicing this all day and we've only got it right once.
Go for it.
All right. It's not working. It's not working.
So this letter was from the council and you got this on the 12th of January. You moved in November, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you got this letter, and just spell out what this letter says.
That letter says that because the property is derelict, that they can compulsory purchase it. If there's any repairs to be done in it, they could take it off the price of the property.
Yeah.
And these properties are for migrants.
It's
what they want the houses for.
Extraordinary, isn't it? And how did you feel when you got a letter? You moved into your new wonderful home, you settled down, law-abiding citizens, and you get a compulsory purchase.
Hold on, that's just writing. You can't see it. I told you it was seamless, didn't I?
Purchase order from the council accusing you of occupying a derelict home. How did you feel when you got this?
After paying $200,000 for it, we didn't feel very well.
No, it must have been one hell of a shock, mustn't it?
It was an awful shock. And when I got that, I felt sick. When we went down to the council the day we got that letter after we read it. And the lady in there, she said, don't worry about it. It's just a standard letter.
We have been so hollowed out as a nation. We've turned our backs entirely on the territorial integrity of this country to the point where it's become standard to repossess houses.
But why is this always that it's for the immigrant and not The
And then-
indigenous population.
Well, veterans are sleeping rough.
Yeah.
16,000
In
veterans.
terrible weather.
Absolutely.
They can't get put in hotels or on a bibby stock home.
There is a daylight centre charity in Wellingborough, which looks after homeless people who are sleeping rough. And they spend £630 per annum per head. Illegal migrants get paid £50,000. They get spent on them £50,000 per annum per head. And here we have the evidence of it in this letter. They wanted your lovely new home.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So that's really sad, because that poor old lady and that old man, he said he felt ill and felt sick. They spent £200,000 on their new home.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a letter from the council saying, oh, because it's of disrepair, we can repossess it and give it to migrants. And I just think, if that was my poor old mum, that would have sent her over the bloody edge.
So they're just saying it's a standard letter, so just sending it out, just hoping it will maybe scare some people and
Scare
God knows
some
what'll
people
happen.
into the grave, and
Well,
then they
yeah.
can just take the bloody house. So, yeah, we were a little bit shocked and sad about that. I'm going to turn off the boomer speaker.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the news. Breaking news, actually, as it happens. With groundbreaking information that is likely to cause a huge stir in the alternative community, we bring to you, live and exclusive, a top secret whistleblower who, for reasons that will become apparent, would like to hide his identity. Over to you, the whistleblower. There we have it.
Blimey.
Live and exclusive from an underground base.
Wow.
The whistleblower.
Keep doing your thing and blowing your whistle.
Keep blowing the whistle, but not here. No. Okay.
That's enough blowing
That's
the whistle.
enough blowing the bloody
That's
whistle.
very
Now
good.
it's time for the quiz.
That's very good.
It's time for the quiz.
It's very good. You've
Okay.
done your best now. Very good.
Okay, you can go now.
Yeah, he's
We
done
had
very
to
well.
buy him a brownie to make him do that.
You've done very well.
But he wants to be anonymous.
Ah!
So
Oh
much
my God.
for anonymity. But you can go now.
Yeah.
You just
Thanks for that. You can keep the tin foil.
yeah, keep it for
You
next
can
week.
use it on your food or something.
So the whistleblower.
Thanks for that.
It's buffering. We can't help that.
We're still going. Right. I think it was the whistle blowing that buffered.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
still buffering, or we
Well,
we
I'm
going?
seeing all right here.
You're being okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys, get ready for the quiz of the century.
Gary Robinson's in.
Oh, hi, Gary. Hi, Gary.
And Johnny Fettler was saying that Ben's done a great interview with Mark Devlin. We'll have to
Oh,
we haven't
we'll check
listened to
that
yet.
right out.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, everybody, get your fingers on your buzzers. I'll turn the quiz music on that we all know and love. So, as we always say, don't say A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, because we can't keep up with that. So if a question, just say one of the words out of the answer and we'll work it out. And can my spanners keep an eye on Mark to make sure that he's actually getting it right?
Cheek of it.
Well, you know. All right, guys, fingers on buzzers, please. I don't think there's any buzzers involved. Oh, we've gone all dark. What's going on with us? What's going on with us? We've gone a bit dark, Mark.
Well, we are
We're quite
sometimes
dark.
prone to that. Yeah.
Right. Ready, go. The Mongolian death what is said to have 2 fanged mouths, be able to kill a camel or a human with its poisonous venom within minutes, and drove an entire family to up sticks and move just because they had heard of sightings of it in the nearby vicinity. Is it the Mongolian death donkey, the Mongolian death spider, the Mongolian death rat, the Mongolian death worm, or the Mongolian death rabbit? This is the music. We give you a bit of time. I often wonder what would happen if people came in when we're just doing this bit,
They might stick around.
they wouldn't stick around. The Mongolian deaf donkey.
Mm.
Okay, the time is up, so everybody that was going to answer has hopefully answered. So I really wish it was the Mongolian deaf donkey, because that's bloody brilliant.
Well, maybe with some of the genetic engineering they're doing, it might be a thing.
He makes a fair point.
Yeah.
So it is, in fact, the Mongolian death worm.
Yeah. Well,
Ooh.
Gary Robinson was straight in with that even before you gave the multiple choice.
I don't even think I finished the bloody question.
No,
he was
right
in
there.
He knows what's
Well
going
done,
on.
Gary.
So Gary won that one.
Yeah.
So just so that you know, we've got a lot of information on the answers this week. So you're going to learn a lot this week, which can't always be said. Can't always say that in our live streams. You're going to learn a lot. Well done, Gary.
Yeah.
Oh, has the quiz started? Sorry, was on the Boig. I think that means bog. Yes, it does. Bloody hell, Ben.
That's not a good start.
You should have gone before you came, as they say. It started. You've just missed the first. You missed the whistleblower, and you missed the first question.
Ben.
He'll replay it.
Yeah, we'll have to replay
He'll
it.
replay it. Yeah. Right. So you're going to get a lot of information about these questions. It's going to be very informative this week, which I hope you appreciate. Like I say, you don't
saw the whistleblower.
You don't actually get a lot of learning usually with our live streams, but you will this week. Okay, so the Mongolian death worm, or large intestine worm, is a creature alleged to exist in the Gobi Desert. It can grow up to 1.5 meters long, has a hole forward/mouth at each end of its tube-like body, and is able to spit electricity or venom to kill its prey. Richard Freeman, a cryptozoologist from the UK, specialised in the Mongolian death worm. He travelled to Mongolia in 2005 to study the worm in question. He says, I think it's a reptile. It's either an unknown species of worm or lizard, related to snakes, or an unknown species of sand boa. Nobody thinks of it as a mythical creature in Mongolia, but as a real living animal. So just rumours of it being in the vicinity made a whole family get up and move. But a tube with mouths on both ends? Nobody needs that, do they? Right. Well done, Gary. So, question 2.
Yeah, Ben was saying, we were saying about the worms of June.
Yeah.
It's very similar. I've got an idea for that.
Yeah. I've got so much reading to do. You might have to take over, actually.
Oh, I've got me a bit.
I've got my own reading to do.
I've got my own bloody bit.
Right.
I'm bloody exhausted.
Right, I'm going to turn that off because I think it's flashing in the background. There we go. That's better. And you can see little luminous mark there. Look, there he is. Right, question 2. It started its killing spree in Puerto Rico in the 70s, then spread to Mexico, Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Texas, Maine, Russia, India, and China, and is still reported to this day. Its victims are livestock and occasionally family pets. It was called El Chupacabra in 1995 by Silverio Perez. What does El Chupacabra translate as? Scaled devil, dog man, goat sucker, or green demon? So, scaled devil, dog man, goat sucker, green demon. Type your answers in the chat box. And the answer is goat sucker.
Well, Ben's first one there.
Ben was first one in there.
Well, in fact, I think he's the only one with the correct answer. I think.
Well done.
Well done, Ben. You got off the toilet and your brains. That's where I always do my best thinking on the toilet. So you've obviously got your brain in gear.
Goat sucker.
Yeah.
So livestock all over the globe seem to be being slaughtered in a similar way. Their bodies drained of blood with seemingly vampire-like fan-like incisions puncturing their skin, sometimes with organs removed. Carlos Soto, a vet who has examined the remains of a Doberman Pinscher and 7 rabbits killed by the mystery predator, is convinced that something very strange happened to them. In each case, the cause of death were 2 deep puncture wounds under the right side of the neck, Soto said. The wounds extended into the animal's brains, killing them instantly. The wounds were about the diameter of a drinking straw and 3 to 4 inches in length. They weren't compatible with the bite of a dog, a monkey, or any animal I've ever studied. There have been numerous sightings of the cryptid, each as strange as the other. Mizel Negron, a 25-year-old college student, claimed, I was looking off the balcony one night and I saw it step out of a bright light in the backyard. Negron said it was about 3 or 4 feet tall, with skin like that of a dinosaur. It had bright red eyes the size of hen's eggs, long fangs and multicolored spikes down its head and back. Madeline Tolentino said she and her mother had stared at the chupacabras for 3 minutes or so one day when it paused on the sidewalk in front of their home. I told my mother I saw the devil, she said. Tolentino said the creature was built like a kangaroo without a tail, with powerful hind legs. She also noted a web-like film hanging beneath its short, pudgy arms. I think we got one of those next door. Always.
It's been a very cryptid start to the quiz.
It's been a bit of a cryptid start to the quiz.
And Ben said he had Richard Freeman on his Panwo. Was it
Excellent.
Panwo Radio, Ben, a couple of weeks ago.
Freeman.
So check that out as well.
Okie dokie. So, number 3. Answers in the chat box, please. Which asteroid is known as the Wounded Healer? Chiron, Eros, Psyche, Vesta. Chiron, Eros, Psyche, Vesta. Answers in the chat box.
Oh, Ego Shredder's arrived.
Hi, Ego Shredder. Oh, shit, I don't know this one, says Garrett. I didn't think there was anything you didn't know, Gary. This is where guesswork comes in handy. At least he's not cheating. Right, who was the first one to write Chiron?
Mari just beat Ben.
Oh, well done, everybody.
And Ego Shredder got it as well, so yeah.
So, like I say, you're going to learn a lot this week, which is unusual. Chiron, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Chiron, not to be confused with Pluto's moon Charon, is a small solar system body in the outer solar system, orbiting the sun between Saturn and Uranus. Discovered in 1977 by Charles Cowell, it was the first identified member of a new class of objects known as centaurs, bodies orbiting between the asteroid belt and the Kuiper belt. Although it was initially called an asteroid and classified only as a minor planet with the designation 2060 Chiron, in 1989 it was found to exhibit behaviour typical of a comet. Today it is classified both a minor planet and a comet. Chiron is named after the centaur Chiron in Greek mythology. In Greek myth, Chiron symbolises the wounded healer, a term Jung originated. A wise and noble centaur, Chiron suffered a painful, incurable wound and inspired many a Greek hero to reach full potential. Told you, learning.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Right, number 4.
Well, Ben said unoriginal Uranus joke coming up, but I was going to do one, but I can't be bothered now.
Because you know I'd kick you.
Yeah.
I would kick him.
Yeah.
There's going to be kicking.
Yeah.
Number 4. Kelpies, shape-shifting entities in Scottish folklore. Sometimes they take the form of a human, but more often than not, they take the form of a what? Bear, mermaid, giant salmon, horse. Kelpies. Bear, mermaid, giant salmon, horse. Answers in the chat box, please. I only say answers in the chat box, please, at this stage, in case people come in and they wonder what we're doing. Okay. Everybody done their bits?
There's a few answers in there.
So who was first with horse?
That was Cosmic Twilight.
Well done.
I remember seeing, because I think it's, is it near Falkirk or somewhere in Scotland? They've got the statues with the horses.
Absolutely giant, massive giant things. I'm just about to talk about that. Kelpies are mesmerizing, treacherous water spirits or fairies who entice their victims near lochs and rivers in order to drag them to their death in the depths of the water. They are said to devour the victim's life force and then consume them completely. That's terrifying then. But yeah, up in Scotland, they've got like, I don't know, 100-foot giant horses' heads sticking out somewhere or another. It's terrifying. Right. So who won that one? Who won that one?
That was Cosmic.
Right. Number 5. Are you keeping up, Fried? Number 5?
Yeah, I'm just double checking. I am keeping up. I'm just making sure I've got that right. Yeah. Okay, we're moving on.
Right. Number 5. One theory that attempts to explain the powerful pull of the Bermuda Triangle posits that the area is haunted by drowned sailors who are looking for others to join their colony. Or a sea creature related to Loch Ness Monster devours the crews of encroaching ships. Or these waters are a gateway to the lost city of Atlantis. So Bermuda Triangle, drowned sailors, sea creature, lost city of Atlantis. Gas? Gas wasn't in the question.
No.
Gas wasn't here. Oh shit, I just showed them the answers. It's not the ocean farting according to my bit of paper.
I think that's one that's a scientific explanation that a lot of people reckon that
Gas.
might be, if you like, a materialist.
We're trying to keep it esoteric here. So, some people think that the waters are a gateway to the lost city of Atlantis. Who got that right?
Well, there was a few people who got it, and the first one was Mari.
Okie dokie. So, one theory about where the lost civilization disappeared to is that it was swallowed up by the Bermuda Triangle. The patch of the Atlantic Ocean, also known as the Devil's Triangle, became an urban legend after more than 50 ships and 20 aeroplanes disappeared in the area. In his book, The Lost Continent Revealed, Charles Berlitz says that the ancient civilization could have also fallen prey to the notorious Bermuda Triangle. Berlitz claimed that Atlantis was actually a continent off the coast of the Bahamas. Those who support this theory point to the fact an underwater road known as the Bimini Road was found north of Bimini Islands in the Bahamas. The underground rock formation, sometimes referred to as the Bimini Wall, is half a mile long, made up of rectangular limestone blocks. The road lies around 18 feet below the sea surface and travels along a northeast and southwest line. It was first discovered by divers in 1868, who described it as a pavement. The road's location and perfect formation have led many to believe it could be the road to Atlantis, resembling roads similar to the era. Bizarrely, Bimini Road was mentioned by American mystic and prophet Edgar Cayce 30 years before its discovery in 1938. At the time, he predicted a portion of the temples may yet be discovered under the slime of ages in seawater near Bimini. Expect it in 68 or 69, not so far away. He also added that Bimini Island would have been considered one of the mountaintops of ancient Atlantis. Carbon dated carried out by scientists, however, has revealed that these structures could have been formed naturally through coastal erosion of limestone. Trust the science. Anyway, that's
both things could be true.
Okie dokie. Number 6. This is a 2-pointer. So get ready. 2-pointer. What is the oldest chalk white horse in Britain? Let me turn him over. Westbury, Cheryl, Uffington, Pusey. The oldest white horse. Westbury, Cheryl, Uffington, Pusey. And the answer, it's a bloody good job you got this one, Ben. The answer is Uffington.
Yeah, Ben was first.
Westbury is a load of rubbish. I think it was like done last Wednesday or something ridiculous like
Yeah,
that.
I did it actually.
When you actually look them up, they're just like follies, most of them. But Uffington is an original, very old one. And for the second point, what is the name of the small hillock I'm not going to give any clues for this one. You either know it or you don't. What is the name of the small hillock situated immediately below the Uffington White Horse? And me and Mark are thinking of doing a trip there if anybody wants to come with us. What is the name of the small hillock situated immediately below the Uffington White Horse? I can't bother to sing. Yeah. Well, we're going to give it to Ben because obviously it's in Oxfordshire. So, Ben, we're going to come and visit that. So we'll have to meet you there. So it's called Dragon Hill, which is immediately under Uffington White Horse, which is one of the original, not one of the follies. And it's like very minimalist. So Ben gets 2 points for that.
Yeah, we'll come along there.
Yeah.
The year of the dragon.
Ben, we'll go there this year, definitely. So the Uffington White Horse is a prehistoric hill figure. 360 foot long, formed from deep trenches filled with crushed white chalk. The figure is situated on the upper slopes of White Horse Hill in the English civil parish of Uffington in Oxfordshire. The Uffington White Horse was created sometime between 1380 and 550 BC, during the Late Bronze Age or Early Iron Age. Dragon Hill is a small hillock immediately below the Uffington White Horse on the border of the civil parishes of Uffington and Woolston in the English county of Oxfordshire. Dragon Hill is a natural chalk hill with an artificially flattened top on the scarp slope of White Horse Hill. According to legend, St. George slew the dragon here. A bare patch of chalk upon which no grass will grow is purported to be where the dragon's blood spilled. It has been suggested at some sort of Iron Age ritual site associated with the nearby hill figure. The hill was used as the setting for the music video of the Kate Bush song Cloud Busting. Yeah. Well done, Ben. We're going to visit that this year. We'll meet you.
Well, that's an interesting connection as well, because Cloud Busting's Wilhelm Reich. It's about him, so there's
all sorts.
Yeah, further esoteric connections.
Right, number 7. Who put forward the idea of trackways, later to be termed ley lines? Alfred Wallace, Alfred Adler, Alfred Watkins, Alfred Whitehead. Ley lines. Who came up with the term trackways, which are now called ley lines? Alfred Wallace, Alfred Adler, Alfred Watkins, Alfred Whitehead. Guess, Ben. Wallace, Adler, Watkins, Whitehead. Okay. Did anybody say Watkins?
Ego Shredder has said Watkins.
Excellent.
I think he was the only one.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done, Ego Shredder.
On 30th of June 1921, Watkins visited Blackwardine in Herefordshire and had the idea that there was a system of straight lines crossing the landscape dating from Neolithic times. He presented his ideas at a meeting of the Woolhope Naturalist Field Club in Hereford in September 1921 and published his first books, Early British Trackways, in 1922 and The Old Straight Track in 1925. Thereafter, he spent a major part of his life developing his theory. He published a further book on leys and participated in the Old Straight Track Club from 1927 to 1935. Its papers are also in the Hereford City Museum. Bless him. Okie dokie, number 8. Now, oh my God, I've been practicing saying this and now I've forgotten it again. What is Arachibutyrophobia? Arachibutyrophobia. The fear of. Arachibutyrophobia. Is it the fear of insects? The fear of chins? the fear of dropping teaspoons, or the fear of peanut butter sticking to your mouth? Arachirobirophobia, the fear of chins, teaspoons, peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth, or insects? This is the best bit, I reckon. I'm surprised they stay on the red.
Yeah.
Good workmanship.
Yeah. Moulded to my brain.
Right, has everybody had a go? Who's having a go?
There's a few goes been had.
Has anybody said the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of their mouth?
Ben did, but I think it was a complete guess. But he's the only one who said it, so he's like, gold nose, peanut butter.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
There were lots of chins.
I mean,
teaspoons from Gary.
The fear of there's a fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. There's a really easy solution to that one.
Don't eat peanut butter.
Don't eat it.
But it's nice, isn't it?
But there's a fear of it with an actual long
Well, if you
name.
fear it, don't do it. That's what I would say.
Arachirobirophobia, which I had to literally do a Google bloody pronunciation thing 3 times, is this fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. Who would have guessed it? You did, Ben.
Well, you did, yeah. It's not very esoteric, though, is it, Liz?
No.
It was a light relief amongst the...
It's not very esoteric at all.
Esoteric
No.
wisdom.
Sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
But you get what you pay for in this bloody quiz.
You could choke on peanut butter ego shredder, I expect, if you got stuck in enough of it stuck down your throat.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Number 9. Oh, exciting. Oh. This is a 2-pointer.
Oh, another 2-pointer.
2-pointer. He's on his second bottle of wine.
Bloody hell, Ben. Blimmin' hell.
Well, you didn't invite us round.
Bloody
hell. I had such a stressful week at work. I came home and I was on the bloody Guinness and Black last night.
Yeah.
I had 2 pints of Guinness and Black and went to bed at 8 o'clock.
Rock and roll.
Pathetic.
Rock and roll.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
Ex-art student. I'm an embarrassment to myself. Right, 2-pointer. What does La Manca Negra mean and what is it? La Manca Negra and what is it? Oh, God. La Manca Negra and what is it? We'll be back after this tune.
We ain't gone away.
This is the only thing we can afford the copyright to. La Manca Negra. What does it mean and what is it? Something black. A drink. Now, you've got a lot of learning this. I bloody hell. I have done a lot of writing about this one. So if you didn't know, you're soon bloody gonna. Did anybody say it means black stain or black spot?
Well, a few people said something black, but that was as far as people got.
Right. Oh, Gary said black slime from North America. So
South America, yeah.
No, black stain or black spot. I'm going to give that to Gary, actually. It means black spot or black stain, but black slime is what it actually did look like. So well done, Gary. So basically, it's black goo and it's in Venezuela. So that's South America, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Gary gets 2 points then.
Right.
Go on, Gary. Get in.
Yeah.
So this was a Metro article literally this year. I only found this after I researched it. They've actually doing a Metro article this year, which is a bit of a coincidence. This is quite long, but I thought it was quite interesting, actually. It was 1986 when the goo appeared. At first, it was just a 50-meter long smudge outside Caracas, but it soon grew to conquer the roads of Venezuela's capital. An inch-thick, greasy black blob, as slick as ice, is to this day, no one knows what it was or where it came from, just that it killed hundreds of people. Was it political sabotage? Aliens? This is the story of La Manca Negra, or the Black Stain. I actually think it's quite interesting, this. So I'm going to read the whole article for you, if you like. And even if you don't like. It's not a democracy in here, mind. First spotted by workers as they patched up 30-year-old asphalt between the city and its airport, over 2 decades, the patch of mysterious slime soon grew to cover 8 miles of roads. That's from here to gone past Bath, mind.
Yep.
In the 5 years up to 1992, it reportedly claimed the lives of 1,800 drivers and passengers whose cars spun out of control on the giant slick. Yet despite this apparent death toll, never officially confirmed, there is much more we don't know about the black goo than we do. It seemed to be alive. La Mancha Negra contracted and expanded with the weather, growing when it was hot and wet, but shrinking when it was cold and dry. Although it claimed miles of the road, it also lurked in tunnels and, incredibly, the uphill slopes outside the airport. This is spooky, isn't it?
Mhm.
Some who saw it described it as gummy. Others avoided it at all costs. They can offer me double the fare, but if La Mancha Negra is bad, I won't drive, said taxi driver Orlando Avevedo. It's not worth dying for. Another claimed to face the blob frequently. Driving with La Mancha Negra is like driving in a Grand Prix, he said. You got to be careful or you'll die. Despite the Venezuelan government throwing what they say was millions of dollars at the problem, the mysterious glob was nothing if not persistent. In 1994, 8 years after its first appearance, and with its death toll rising higher and higher, the Ministry of Transport and Communications attempted to wash away La Mancha Negra, working under the assumption it was a paste of oil and dust. It didn't work. They upped their game with pressure washers. When that didn't work, they tried scrubbing it away with detergents and repeatedly scraped away the top layer of the roads, but the alien substance still appeared. When the government poured tons of pulverized limestone over the stain to dry it up, residents complained the roads were too dusty and the air was unbreathable, but it did work for a while. 10 years later, in 1996, La Mancha Negra appeared again. The government consulted experts in the US, Canada, and Europe. Equipment was brought in from Germany, which seemed to scar away the substance until it reappeared again in 2001. 2 decades on from its last appearance, we are no closer to understanding what La Mancha Negra was or is. Conspiracy theories are rife as people pondered if it was just oil oozing from the asphalt or oil from overworked car engines, a fungus, maybe an alien fungus. This is a really old story, and there are lots of myths and realities about it, said engineering professor Dr. Ramanan Krishnamurti, speaking to Popular Mechanics. The size and scope and timing of the oozing and then the repetition after 5 years made a real mystery. For now, it seems as if the blob is dormant, and with little reporting from the time, evidence to help unravel the mystery is scarce. Will it return? We don't know. If it does, in the age of smartphones and social media, you can bet it won't just be the taxi drivers or Caracas taxi drivers, staring into the abyss of the big black goo.
That goo.
So I don't know what to think about that. Who knows?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, you would have thought, because Venezuela's got a lot of oil, that would be the first thing you go to.
You'd
But
have thought
obviously,
they'd have put it under a microscope and do tests.
well, I presume they did.
I'd have put it in a petri dish,
A bloody big one.
or just a small bit of it, Mark, not the whole lot. I wouldn't have put the whole lot in an 8
Well, that would
mile.
have got rid of it. That's what they should have done.
And that's why we're not scientists.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be.
But yeah, interesting.
Right, number 10. Which of the following is not a real form of divination? So which one did I make up, basically, going forwards? Gastromancy. So divination by guttural sounds. Parrot astrology. Parrots picking tarot cards. Scarpomancy. Divination by old shoes. Armomancy. Divination by one's own shoulders. Or materiomancy. Divination by old blankets. So which one did I make up? Guttural sounds, parrots picking tarot cards, old shoes, your shoulders, or old blankets? Guttural sounds, parrots, old shoes, shoulders, blankets. Which one did I make up? Because I'm a mentalist. Right, has everybody had a go, or do I need to wait a bit
We've
longer?
had a few goes.
So, one more time. Which is not a form of divination? So, which one did I make up? Divination by guttural sounds, parrots picking tarot cards, divination by old shoes, divination by one's own shoulders, or divination by old blankets. Which one did I make up? Hi, Scarlet Skies.
Hi, Scarlet Skies.
Should we go in?
Yeah.
We've had the music. We've had enough time. Yeah. So the one I made up was materiomancy. So I made up divination by old blankets, which means some people use divination by using their own shoulders. How do you do how do you do that?
I don't know.
And some people use divinations by guttural sounds. We could do that in this house, couldn't we? Some people do it by old shoes. And somewhere, I can't remember where it is, it might be India, there's parrots that they train to pick up tarot cards for divination. It's a strange world, Mark Froud.
It's a very strange world. I was going for parrots, but obviously I'm wrong.
You got the bloody answer here.
No, but I leave it. Oh, Linda's in the building.
Hi, Linda.
Yeah. So I didn't have a clue.
Come on, Linda, you can still win.
So no one got that one right, I think.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
So materiomancy, I made that one up. Right, number 11. I'm going to have a little drink because I'm still not 100% over me cold. Okay. What is a psychopomp? Hold on. Hold on. I can't remember if I've got to read this bit or not. A mind could. Oh, hold on. Oh, I don't know if I've got to read this.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, just talk amongst yourselves. I'm not usually this rubbish. Right, yeah, okay. Have I got to read them out? Yeah, I think. Hold on. Right, ready, go. Right. What is a psychopomp? Is it a mind control program used by MI5 in the 1950s? A spirit angel deity who escorts the newly deceased to the afterlife? A mischievous imp or fairy? Or a psychological condition relating to delusions of grandeur? What is a psychopomp? A mind control program used by MI5 in the 50s, a spirit angel or deity who escorts newly deceased people to the afterlife, a mischievous imp or fairy, or a psychological condition relating to delusions of grandeur. Go.
Prog Rock Festival's not, unfortunately, one of the answers, Ego. It would have been good.
Right. Mind control program, spirit angel or deity who escorts newly deceased to the afterlife, mischievous imp or fairy, or a psychological condition relating to delusions of grandeur. Is everybody got theirs up?
There's many answers been given.
Okay. So the answer is a psychopomp is a spirit angel or deity who escorts the newly deceased to the afterlife.
Nobody. Oh, spirit angel, Linda. I think that just came in.
Yeah, Linda can have that one.
That just came in before.
Go on, Linda.
Yeah.
Go on, Linda, because she wouldn't have written it in before whilst we were rabbiting.
Yeah, the internet don't work that
well
quickly.
Done, Linda. So, psychopomps, literally meaning the guide of souls, are creatures, spirits, angels, demons, or deities in many religions whose responsibility it is to escort newly newly deceased souls from Earth to the afterlife. Their role is not to judge the deceased, but simply to guide them, appearing frequently on funerary art. Psychopomps have been depicted at different times and in different cultures as anthropomorphic entities: horses, deer, dogs, ravens, crows, vultures, owls, sparrows, and cuckoos. In the case of birds, these are often seen in huge masses, waiting outside the home of the dying. Psychopomp. Well done, Linda.
Yeah.
Right, have a little drink. My
They
little
live
throat's
amongst us, Linda says. Well, yeah.
having a little drink because my throat's still bad a bit. Number 12. Okie dokie. What was the name of the secret US Army unit established in 1978 at Fort Meade, Maryland, by the Defense Intelligence Agency and SRI International, a California contractor, to investigate the potential for psychic phenomena in military and domestic intelligence applications? Was it Project Starseed, the Phoenix Project, Project Gateway, or Project Stargate? So the potential for psychic phenomena set up by the military of defense: Project Starseed, the Phoenix Project, Project Gateway, Project Stargate. Oh,
Play away.
we put a bit of effort into that one, babe.
I don't think
Who
we
was the
have-
first one to say Project Stargate?
Oh, I think that was good old Ben. Yeah, Project Bot. Yeah, first one. Just beat Linda just by a smidgen. Gary was very quick in there as well.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah.
Well done, Ben. The Stargate project's work primarily involved remote viewing, the purported ability to psychically see events, sights, or information from a great distance. The project was overseen until 1987 by Lieutenant Frederick Holmes, or Skip Atwater, an aide and psychic headhunter to Major General Albert Stubblebine. That's a great name. Stubblebine is a. Next time we write a book, we're going to call it Stubblebine.
Yeah, next time.
And later, president of the Monroe Incident. The unit was small scale, comprising about 15 to 20 individuals, and was run out of an old leaky wooden barracks. The Stargate project was terminated and declassified in 1995 after a CIA report concluded that it was never useful in any intelligence operation. Information provided by the program was vague and included irrelevant and erroneous data, and there were suspicions of interjudge reliability. I'm just putting this off the internet. I don't know if it's true. The program was featured in a 2004 book and a 2009 film, both titled The Men Who Stare at Ghosts, although neither mentions it by name. It went black. Exactly, Ben. You ain't going to get that off bloody Google, though, I'll tell you. It never went away. It just went undercover. Probably under our house. Okay, number 13. In Eastern spiritual practice, how many chakras is the body said to have? Chakras: 8, 7, 6, 5, 9. 8, 7, 6, 5, 9. How many chakras? What's going on a bit, Mark? What's going on? Shut up. Right. So obviously the answer is 7.
Well, yes, I many enlightened people in our chat. Mari was the first to speak in Cosmic, and Linda.
Well done.
But, Scarlett, Gary, Ben.
Well done, Mari.
Yeah.
So, people are said to have 7 chakras. They are the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root. Each represents something integral to our physical experience and can be open or closed. New Age numpties have added another 7, of course. Of course they have. So New Age numpties have added 7 more chakras, and the 11th chakra, according to a New Age numpty, is the galactic chakra. Of course it is. And the 12th chakra is the stellar gateway chakra. Give him a slap for me. Stop being ridiculous. So New Agers trying to get in on the act of changing Eastern philosophy that goes back thousands of years. So we'll just ignore that for now and judge highly. Just judge them. Judging. Always. Oh, blimey, I've got an awful lot to read to you about this one because I found it interesting. Number 14. Real life zombies are associated with which practice? Judaism, Satanism, voodoo. I don't think I'm going to need a tune for this one. Oh, Christ, I turned it off anyway.
Oh, I thought the batteries run out.
Real life zombies are associated with Judaism, Satanism, voodoo. Boom, 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 boom. Yep, I knew you wouldn't need any answers. So it is voodoo. And I just wanted to read an interesting thing about it. Well done. Who said it first?
Ben got in first,
well done, Ben.
just before Mari.
Well done, everybody. A Harvard Magazine article entitled The Secrets of Haiti's Living Dead by Gino Del Foreign in 2017 states, 5 years ago, a man walked into L'Ester, sorry if I get this, I'm going to get this wrong, L'Ester, a village in central Haiti, approached a peasant woman named Angelina Narcisse and identified himself as her brother Clavius. If he had not introduced himself using a boyhood nickname and mentioned facts only intimate family members knew, she would not have believed him. Because 18 years earlier, Angelina had stood in a small cemetery north of her village and watched as her brother Clavius was buried. The man told Angelina he remembered that night well. He knew when he was lowered into his grave because he was fully conscious, although he could not speak or move. As the earth was thrown over his coffin, he felt as if he were floating over the grave. The scar on his right cheek, he said, was caused by a nail driven through the casket. The night he was buried, he told Angelina, a voodoo priest raised him from the grave. He was beaten with a sisal whip and carried off to a sugar plantation in northern Haiti, where with other zombies, he was forced to work as a slave. Only with the death of the zombie master were they able to escape, and Narcisse eventually returned home. Legend has it that zombies are the living dead, raised from their graves and animated by malevolent voodoo sorcerers, usually for some evil purpose. Most Haitians believe in zombies, and Narcisse's claim is not unique. At about the time he reappeared in 1980, 2 women turned up in other villages, saying they were zombies. In the same year, in northern Haiti, the local peasants claimed to have found a group of zombies wandering aimlessly in the fields. But Narcisse's case was different in one crucial aspect. It was documented. His death had been recorded by doctors at the American-directed Schweitzer Hospital in Deschapelle. On April the 30th, 1962, hospital records show Narcisse walked into the hospital's emergency room spitting up blood. He was feverish and full of aches. His doctors could not diagnose his illness, and his symptoms grew steadily worse. 3 days after he entered the hospital, according to the records, he died. The attending physicians, an American among them, signed his death certificate. His body was placed in cold storage for 20 hours, and then he was buried. He said he remembered hearing his doctors pronounce him dead while his sister wept at his bedside. The article goes on to highlight that Datura is a powerful psychoactive plant that some people believe has been ingested by the so-called zombie at the hands of the voodoo priests. Also, the fugu fish, a Japanese delicacy, is said to be able to induce the same symptoms that can make it look like people can be raised from the dead. I'm not sure, okay, if if 3 doctors pronounced him dead and he was put into cold storage for 20 hours, I'm not really sure. I don't know. It makes me
Well,
wonder
yeah,
it
normally if
wasn't
you've-
that kind of medicine.
If you've been, obviously, a lot of people have clinically died and then been resuscitated. But normally, if it's more than a very short time, they suffer brain damage, and
It's
I
like
suppose the
being
zombies might.
paralysed, though, isn't it? They're like paralysed rather than anything else. But surely 3 doctors. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Because I just find that really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, these strange fish can do it, and this datura plant can do things like that. But is that the whole story?
No.
Don't know.
Interesting.
It bloody is interesting.
Linda said NPCs.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, there's a few people with hollowed out souls walking around the earth. So
I'm not saying anything about her next door. I can't even remember. Yeah, I think Ben got that one. Number 15.
Yep.
I told you there was going to be a lot of learning in this one, didn't I? In Western astrology, there are 4 elements: fire, earth, air, water. But in Chinese astrology, there are 5. Which of these elements is in Chinese but not Western astrology? Sulfur, metal, phosphorus, hydrogen. I feel sorry for people that just walk in, just come in when we're doing this nonsense. I've had enough of that now. Right, the answer is metal. So, according to Chinese culture, the metal signs' lucky properties are as follows. Autumn is the season. The colours are white, golden, and silver. The numbers are 4 or 9. The direction is west. Organs, yin is lungs. Organs, yang is large intestine. Tastes are spicy. And birth year ends with a 0 or a 1. So a person born with the metal element has a strong presence in life and will pursue their goals with a single-minded purpose. Metal signs are ambitious and are said to have inner strength of steel and an unwavering confidence. Nothing will stop them once they set their sights on something. So who won that one?
Mari.
Well done.
Mari, yeah. Mari.
Awesome. She likes a bit of astrology, mind.
Oh,
so she'll be good at that one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised in the slightest
No.
that she's got that one.
Interesting. Right. 16, everybody. Nearly there. Well done. You're doing well. And then it's this bit then.
I feel a bit tired. I might just suck it
Shut
off.
your face. We got his very clever ramblings in a minute. Number 16. Around the time of the solar eclipse of July the 11th, 1991, what city experienced a wave of UFO sightings? Las Vegas, Hong Kong, Mexico City, Beijing. 1991, UFO wave. Las Vegas, Hong Kong, Mexico City, Beijing. They're all copying Ben. That's what's going on here. I'm telling you that much.
I reckon they'll say they all hit the same time, but it just came through afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it was Mexico City, and who else would we expect to have got that one first?
Yeah, it's Ben again.
Well done, Ben.
Yeah, 2 bottles of wine, but
2 bottles of wine, but still knows his UFOs. Look.
Oh yeah.
During the solar eclipse of July 11th, 1991, Mexico City experienced a wave of UFO sightings. According to hundreds of eyewitnesses, a bright object hovered over Mexico City for almost 30 minutes before, during, and after the eclipse and was videotaped by 17 people in different parts of the city. The sightings, which began with the eclipse, continued for several years. After the eclipse, it was reported that the Mayan prophecies, specifically the Dresden Codex, had predicted that the total eclipse of July the 11th, 1991 would usher in 2 life-altering events: Earth changes and cosmic awareness in the form of encounters with the masters of the stars. Debunkers, however, have challenged this interpretation of the Dresden Codex, as well as the actual sightings, which they suggest were simply the planet Venus, which would have appeared unusually bright during the eclipse. Well, I'm sure Ben's got more information on that, so go and ask him. Well done, Ben, and everybody who copied him. Jokes. 17. Oh, we got another UFO one. Christ alive. Eee, knobbers.
Oh, Brian Cox is in the house.
Eee, knobbers. Right. What explanation was offered to explain a UFO sighting near Kyoto, Japan in 1235?
That's a bit before
So
your
this
time,
is
Ben.
quite an old one. What explanation did they give of a UFO sighting in Japan in 1235? Did they say it was a comet, fire-breathing birds, wind blowing the stars about, or angry gods?
Oh, Ben don't know.
Ben don't know? Well, then none of us know. Comet, fire-breathing birds, wind blowing the stars about, or angry gods? Are we there?
Lots of answers.
So the answer
Drum roll.
is the wind blowing the stars about, which I think is absolutely delightful.
Ah, Scarlet Skies was the only one, I think.
Well done.
Ego Shredder said chemtrail explosions, so maybe that, that's...
Well, yeah, that would be the explanation this
the
year.
later version.
Well done, Scarlet Skies.
Yeah. Good
So,
work.
on September the 24th, 1235, General Yoritsumi and his army observed mysterious globes of light flying loops in the night sky near Kyoto, Japan. The general's advisors told him not to worry. It was merely the wind blowing the stars about. Now, Ben, I was thinking we might think this is ridiculous today, but some people claim that UFO sightings this day and age are lighthouses, ice cream vans, what is it? Manure on fire. You know more about that, Ben.
Well, Johnny said cows farting. Pretty much the same.
But that's Ben. What are some of the excuses that the bunkers say for sightings this day and age? And absolute nonsense. So, bless. I think that's quite a nice little story.
It's quite poetic.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
So,
Scarlett got that one.
Well done, Scarlett.
Yeah.
Right, number 18. Flying ice cream vans. I'm sure that was one, wasn't it, Ben? I'm sure. Was that Capel Green or something they said that was? I can't remember. 18. We'll wait for Ben because he's probably typing. I've asked Ben to type something and I'm just about to... there we go. Right, go. Right. Which haunted house has been the site of more than 70 mysterious events since the 1950s, including the haunting that inspired the movie Poltergeist? Is it the Herman House, the Sally House, the Old Arnold Estate, or Turner Ingersoll Mansion? So what inspired Poltergeist? The Herman House, the Sally House, the Old Arnold Estate, or Turner Ingersoll Mansion? Bored of that note. Cheers. Johnny says whatever Ben says.
Ben says, don't know, I have no idea.
Johnny says whatever Ben says. Oh, well, I've seen it in there. The Herman House, and I think our Linda got that right first. Well done, our Linda.
Yeah, just ahead of Murray, but yeah,
Well done, our Linda.
Linda's first.
I've got a bit of learning for you because this is another interesting one. Don't deny it. How's our sound, by the way? Because we've got a new mic. We pass me rubbish mic. We sacked him off.
Oh, yeah, rubbish mic.
Give me. We sacked off rubbish mic, and now we've got.
It's like a UFO.
What's
It
the
looks
tune?
a bit like an alien.
Yeah. What's the tune for aliens?
That's Close Encounters.
Close Encounters.
Yeah.
No, X-Files.
Oh, Christ.
Doop. No.
Let's just stick with Close Encounters. We're doing all right.
What's
with that
alien music, for Christ's sake?
I don't bloody know. I expect you to sing. Christ.
What is it from Close Encounters? Do.
No, yeah. It's Close Encounters.
Do.
We're in the Twilight Zone, Murray. I don't know about anyone else.
Should we stop that?
Yeah.
Just imagine if somebody just walked in. So we got a Gert Posh mic, but how does it sound? Because we'll take it back if it's shit.
Well, everyone's been out of hear us, I suppose. They've been answering the questions, so
that's very true.
That's a good sign. Yeah.
Right. Next week we're using Connor's computer tonight because we had a right nightmare. Oh my god! Literally 5:15, my computer decided to pack in. Not pack in, but decided no, we're not going to do a live stream. Fuck off. So then we got Mark's work computer out, and then literally 6:30, it said no, we can't recognise your fucking camera. Fuck off. So I'm literally we're gonna buy a new pissing computer. This is costing us a fortune, this bloody live stream. It's a good job it's so good.
Yeah, that's right.
Or else it'd be a right waste of money and time.
It's an investment in
what
the future
for? No, it ain't.
Of everybody. Yeah.
Right, so let's have a little bit of learning about the Herman House. If you can all remember, so it was a haunted house that over 70 mysterious events since the 50s, including a haunting that inspired the movie Poltergeist. Herman House, so an article from longisland.com by Lon Cohen, published on May the 5th, 2021, is entitled "The Long Island Haunting That Inspired the Movie Poltergeist" claims. It was the late 1950s and Long Island was just another idyllic post-war suburb, but as usual, things were not always what they seemed. In 1958, something strange was brewing in the typical ranch-style home in Seaford. It was a February afternoon, and James Herman got a call at work from his wife, Lucille, to tell him something strange was happening at home. His teenage kids had heard popping sounds that couldn't be explained, later found to be the caps of a variety of substances around the homes that had inexplicably popped off, including shampoo, bleach, and a vial of holy water. Well, we've all got that hanging around the house, haven't we?
Yeah.
Weird, but not deserving of a call to Ghostbusters just yet. Possibly, Mr. Herman theorized, the result of some bizarre chemical reaction yet to be figured out. Then it happened again. And again. Herman called the police, who also couldn't explain the phenomenon. The Hermans did what any other devout Catholics would do next. They called in a priest to bless the home and rid it of harmful spirits. The incidents became more violent, with figures smashing and a bookcase falling over randomly. It was then they suspected that a poltergeist was in their home. The story went national and even became the subject of a Life magazine article. The haunting caught the attention of paranormal investigators who did not come to a conclusion about the poltergeist one way or another. The Hermans' experience eventually inspired the movie Poltergeist, which has a very similar story with a young suburban family experiencing strange things going on in their home. Although the haunting is ramped up for the drama and scare factor, in the movie version, the cause is an Indian burial ground underneath the home where the Herman story was never fully explained. Some say it was all a prank pulled by the teenage son, but that has never been fully proven. Others claimed that the teens had developed some sort of telekinesis that contributed to the objects popping and smashing. In all, between February the 3rd and March the 10th, almost 70 instances were witnessed. Then it all just stopped as quickly as it started. And did you know Amityville is also on Long Island? The Amityville Horror House, you know, Amityville, it's the house on the hill. Amityville, they call it Amityville. That film that was based on a true story is also based in Long Island. So there's obviously something a bit dodgy going on there. Who got that one right? I forgot. Linda. Linda did. Oh, hi, Margaret.
Yeah. Hello, Margaret.
Spooky. So number 19. We're nearly there, guys. You've done well. Oh, Margaret, you've missed some really great content.
So you can listen back.
We got a
rerun.
secret whistleblower interview.
Oh, Green Tea's come in and all.
Hi, Green Tea.
Hello.
We had a whistleblower from a secret military industrial base.
Yeah, you were tuning for that early doors.
Yeah. Right, 19. For the first 5 seasons, the X-Files were filmed in which city? Toronto, Seattle, Vancouver, Los Angeles. X-Files. First 5 seasons. Toronto, Seattle, Vancouver, Los Angeles. So, who was the first with Vancouver? Mari, I think. She put Van.
Yep.
Well done,
she
Mari.
nipped in first,
She
just ahead
nipped
of Ben. She went with the 3
She
letter
did. She's clever, Mari.
abbreviations.
So Vancouver. So the series was originally filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, but filming moved to Los Angeles for season 6. Now we're on number 20. You made it. Well done. Give yourselves a pat on the back.
All right.
Okie dokie. Number 20. In the 1999 film, The Matrix, Agent Smith says, never send a human to do a what's job? An agent's job, a machine's job, a god's job, or an architect's job? In The Matrix, Agent Smith says, never send a human to do a what's job? Agents, machines, gods, architect's job. Last question. Oh.
Went out with a bang there.
He wants me to do my own tune.
I dropped my pen. Christ, it's like a dirge. Bloody hell.
Oh, this is a development.
We've just broken through to some other side. The other side.
Right, I think you've all... Turn it off. Right, the last answer to the last question, and then the big reveal, is machines. Who said machines first?
Guess who? It's Ben.
Well done, Ben.
Yeah.
So Agent Smith says never send a human to do a machine's job. That's pretty telling,
got in
isn't it?
ahead of Green Tea there, Ben.
Well done, Ben. So
Well,
have you added it up, mate?
Yeah. Well, surprise. I'll let you guess who the winner is.
I have no idea.
It's Ben.
Well, it could have been. I don't listen.
Ben with 8 points. Mari.
Oh, well done, Ben.
Very strong showing with 5. But there was lots of different answerers getting it right.
You should have said Ben only gets questions wrong when he chooses to.
Well, on 2
Ben, you've won.
2 bottles of wine.
Well done, everybody else. Who was second?
Mari.
Well done, Mary.
Linda, Gary, Scarlett.
They all did well.
Yeah, everyone, Cosmic, all got answers right.
Absolutely
Gary,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well done, everybody.
Linda, we've all got a good selection there.
We'll pick you a new present, Ben.
Yeah.
I've actually got something a bit different this time. Yeah.
Oh,
Shut up. Don't tell them.
I haven't got a bag of the coup. What is
Well done, everybody. Well
Christ,
done, everybody. You did really well. So we got to move Mark over. You can all sit back and relax now. I've been instructed by him to reply to you all because last week I just sat back in there and put my feet up. He's like, bloody answering the bloody.
Well, you were spiritually moving a chair,
That was
so
hilarious.
that created a consternation.
Right, so
in the
we
chat.
will move places. Should we do the music when we move places?
No.
Oh, that's bloody right. Have you got enough room?
Yep.
Don't forget to talk into the
Yeah.
spaceship.
Yeah.
Right. Let's take me drinks over.
Right.
He's going to move into the big. Oh Christ!
Right.
He's going to move into the big boy's chair, and
Right.
I'm going to move into the comfy chair.
Right.
This is where it gets cultural.
Come on in, quick.
Oh,
Anyway.
oh God!
Yeah, let me away then.
Wait, you got to move your chair.
Oh, well, I can't bloody move in there.
Bloody
I can't move in there until you've moved out of there. Oh, I don't bloody know.
Bloody hell.
It's seamless.
Oh, I've got the whistleblowers gubbins behind me.
Whistleblowers gubbins. Could you get me a bit of like H2O, some
Yes.
random
I just got
H2O?
to move the gubbins.
It's all right. Hello, everybody. Right, so. Oh no! Get out of it!
It's on the
Bloody
whistleblower.
crazy! Get out of it! Go away! Right. So yeah, the subject for having a chat tonight is John
Remember we
Dee.
said when you do the serious bit, we're going to take the hat off because it's a serious bit.
Well, there we go. Oh no, this was the wrong way. That way. Anyway, so a lot of what I'm writing or talking about is influenced by this guy's book, Jason Louv. And it's this idea of the influence that John Dee had on our modern world up to today. So, for those who don't know, he was born in 1527 in London. His father was of Welsh descent, apparently from some Welsh nobility, going back in time. And the Dee name was anglicised from the Welsh do, or could be spelled du or double du. Ben will probably know this as a Welshman and a Welsh speaker, which means black apparently. And I just had a think. So is that black nobility, which I thought was quite interesting. Dee would later claim that he was descended from Arthur, and there was he had an interest in the Arthurian legends, which is something I think I'll talk about in another talk. But his dad Roland was just a humble merchant, though, and he worked his way up to a position as a gentleman's sewer in Henry VIII's court. So probably maintaining fabrics for the king's palaces. But it was at such a turbulent time when Dee was around. He was, as I say, he was born during Henry VIII's time. Obviously, Henry VIII had these big shifts to break away from the Catholic Church because he wanted to get, he wanted to dispose of his wife Catherine and get on with Anne Boleyn. And this was sort of, there'd be these to and fro from the different kings and queens that would follow from Henry VIII between Protestantism, Catholicism, who was going to follow what, and then they would have these purges of the other denomination, if you like. So it was a real tumultuous time. But Dee became involved with the royal courts, or at least contacts with various of the different kings and queens. But at one time he was actually put in the Tower, as his father had done previously, because his father was implicated with the plot to put Lady Jane Grey in charge. So he'd ended up in the Tower. He'd possibly been tortured. But when Elizabeth came to power, he seemed to have a lot more influence, and he got her trust, and she asked him to do an astrological chart to decide the date of her coronation to the most auspicious day. Dee is such a fascinating figure for me because he's just one of these geniuses that is just so adept in so many different fields. As I say, he was into astrology. He was a modern scientist. He studied optics, mathematics, different languages, and cartography. He was responsible for drawing up maps that would be used in the British colonizing the United States. And he actually suggested to Elizabeth that the British should colonize what became North America. So that is already a huge example of how he precipitated the modern world, because he suggested Elizabeth to go to America, start the English, and he actually coined the term empire. So, and as I say, he actually provided maps as well, practical maps for how they would sail to America. So this idea of him starting off this the British, what would become the British Empire, because at the time of Elizabeth, Britain was in quite a poor position compared to other countries in Europe, like Spain. Didn't have the power, didn't have the empire, which it would then start to conquer around the globe. So it was sort of, he was there at the beginnings of the British Empire, and then what would lead into the American Empire, which then sort of took over, if you like, from the British Empire, a continuation into the 20th century and beyond. And you can see Green Tea's put in the into the chat about 007, because that's, to me, another fascinating, as I say, he's got all these he's at this sort of junction of all this tumultuous time with religion and starting the idea of empire, but also it was around this time of Elizabeth I where the beginning of what became our intelligence services, where they all began. And because there was it Walsingham was this like chief advisor or something like that to Queen Elizabeth I, but he basically had this huge spy network in Britain and Europe, and he he's credited as basically starting what would, using these different methods of deception, subterfuge to spy and get information and manipulate people, and that what led to the intelligence services which we know and hate now. So Dee is also, many claim that he worked as a spy, maybe for Elizabeth against her predecessor, sister Mary, when she was in power, because John Dee had some contact with her, and then again with Elizabeth, and they wondered why he was highly regarded by Elizabeth for a time when Dee had actually, been consulting with Mary, and some considered maybe that was because he was acting as a spy for Elizabeth while Mary was in power. And of course, he signed off. He used to write to Elizabeth I and he used to sign off 007 as like his code name. And Ian Fleming then took that and used that in the James Bond books. And this is very interesting to me because Fleming as well, there's many connections which people have said he has with the occult, including people have said that he worked with Aleister Crowley for the British intelligence services during the Second World War. So it's fascinating to me that there's this connection centuries ago with someone who would, as I was sort of discussing a bit, had all these interests in the occult and was involved with what became in the intelligence services and what became science, and all these different influences that would carry down into our time now. So as I say, John Dee's father had been arrested in the Tower for being implicated with or being associated with people that sort of fell out of favour, planning these different coups, all these political intrigues. He was let out of the Tower, but he lost all his wealth, so he wasn't able to pass any of it on to John Dee. so he often struggled for money himself as he went on. And Dee himself was arrested and charged with calculating. It's an interesting how these terms change their meaning, but calculating, mathematics was likened to magical powers, and it was linked with the occult. So people just studying mathematics, it was they were accused of witchcraft. And I suppose that's interesting now, because if you look at mathematics and how it's gone into physics, quantum physics, and it is very much like the modern scientific form of the occult, of magics, the spiritual, if you like. A lot of people have likened quantum physics to more Eastern mysticism particularly, but then you look at things which influence Dee more, like the Hebrew Kabbalah, and it's all these ideas of language, like a code where everything in the universe is connected to this code of language. And with gematria, every letter is also linked with numbers, so it basically is like these mathematical patterns which can explain, and if you can tap into it, the idea is that you can then control matter, the world. You can influence it and control it. And I think, again, it's these principles that have fed through the likes of Dee. And Louvre was in the book describing how Dee then, although he got sort of written out of history and disregarded, because although early part of his career he was renowned as being an incredible scientist and great skilled in all these different areas, as I say, he advised Elizabeth I, very influential. But then later in his life, he began these scrying sessions with this guy Edward Kelly, who was very strange, a bit of a wild child, a bit of a rock star of his day, often getting drunk. He had his ears clipped off, which was some punishment for forgery. So he was a bit of a dodgy character. And a lot of people since, skeptics, have said, well, Kelly was just deceiving Dee, and he was pretending that he was seeing these visions, because Dee, although Dee did see some visions that he described, but generally he didn't have the power to be able to read into these, what we'd now maybe term a crystal ball, but the scrying stone. And apparently there's a scrying stone, I think, in the British Museum, which belonged to Dee. That'd be quite interesting to see. But they embarked on these really extensive contact, as they saw it, with angels, and wanted to get a plan basically for achieving a new world order, if you like, and for reaching enlightenment, because Dee had this thirst for knowledge and wanted. The idea was this, taking up this idea from people centuries before, that there was, before the fall, before the Garden of Eden, that humanity had this intrinsic connection with God, was at one with God, or was close to God at least, and could speak with God in this language which was pure. And again, this going back to that Hebrew Kabbalah, it was supposed to be at least close to that original language, but it was still somewhere removed. And the idea for all these gaining enlightenment through these, proto-scientific methods and magic and the occult, the idea that humanity could somehow get to this closeness of God again and ascend back up this great chain of being to be closer to the angels and God. But these so they came up with this incredible whole dictionary of a whole language. What became known, apparently Dee didn't refer to it himself, but as the Enochian alphabet. But this was later to become greatly influential for. It got taken up by the Golden Dawn, and then obviously their most famous proponent, Aleister Crowley, and he reenacted or went through a number of these rituals, if you like, and trying to connect with these angels, following the practices of Dee and Kelly centuries before. So Louvre in his book talks almost as much about Crowley as he does Dee, because Crowley, of course, again, has love him or loathe him, but I mean, even if you just think, even if someone's a materialist that thinks the occult, magic, spiritual are all nonsense, you can't deny the influence that Crowley has had in, when you hear so much music, so many of the arts, and so much of, basically, he sort of predicted himself, like the early 20th century, all these things that I talk about, this sort of, if you like, throwing off of the sort of morality of the church as he saw it, and all these things will come to pass. And you've got to say that they have come to pass in the decades that have followed into our time now. And you look, we've got to what was that great Grammy-winning song that was
Wet Ass Pussy, or no?
Oh, that's tame nowadays.
No. It was you think you the shit fart, but you ain't. You just a fart.
See, Johnny Fetley, you could have written that lyric, because you've been writing about the farting today in the chat.
You think you're the shit fart, but you ain't even the fart.
So, I mean, this is the world we're living in, and I would say so much of that has come from the influence of people like Crowley. But interestingly, talking in this book, I hadn't really thought of Protestantism really of being not in the same way as something like Catholicism, where the Vatican Church, a very mysterious and, I would say, malevolent, powerful entity, where they're using the power of the Catholic Church, and they're exerting influence, controlling, increasing their power. I haven't really thought of Protestantism in that sense, really. It seems like all these different sects that sort of broke away, and all these Protestantism was starting to really explode around these time. But Lou's argument was that, in actual fact, Dee was, if you like, at the forefront of how all these Protestant sects were coming together, or this, if you like, their mystical side that was looking to change the world. And a lot of these groups had this sort of millenarial or apocalyptic version of Christianity, where they particularly were interested in the Book of Revelations, and they believed that they wanted the apocalypse, because after the apocalypse, that was a necessary stage that needed to be all this chaos, disorder, destruction, for then there to be the sort of second coming, and there would be this enlightenment and this new age, this new dawn. But as Lou says, although he doesn't see it, he says, "Oh, it's not a conspiratorial thing." But he makes the point that so much that's come later is where and I think that's where we are now. When people have talked about the things with it's about the mark of the beast, when there was all these things about, oh, you've got to have the jibby jabber before you can go and use goods and services, and so many people were saying, well, this is like the mark of the beast, that you have to have this to be able to trade, to live. But some would see, oh, this is the prophecy being fulfilled. But so much of these different societies that have grown up, they actually think that they need to make this happen. So they are creating this apocalypse. They are trying to drive this vision to sort of make it match the revelation, because they want to usher in this apocalypse, our destruction for the majority of us. And we know this depopulation agenda. But to me, it's enlightening to see how it in Dee's world, because, as I say, Dee was intricately, he was fascinated by science. He was using mathematics, optics. He was using all these different methods of science, and we see how that now has come into our age. And there was, when Dee was doing his angelic conversations, he started touring around Europe. He was getting much support within England and in the royal circles, so he started to go around Europe to find more sympathetic royalty, noble people that would fund him. And he went to a number of places. Bohemia was a notable one, whereas Rudolph II, I think, was in charge there, and he was very open to these occult ideas. A number of people would go there from around the world to share ideas, and there is an argument that Louvre and others previous to him have suggested that although Dee is not spoken of much in history, but under the surface, secret societies like the Rosicrucians that started up after Dee's time were taking a lot of his ideas that he had been talking about, and they started to draw together people of like-minded people who were interested in alchemy, the occult, and they were drawing them together to try and again, their modus operandi, if you like, talked about centuries ago, was to be in society, but to be undercover, if you like. There was even a quote that they would just be seen as dispensing medical help to people, which I thought was very striking in the light of what we've been at the moment. But they would quietly be under the surface, but assuming positions where they would influence and start controlling society. And then many see Rosicrucianism, I can't really say it, Rosicrucianism as developing into Freemasonry. There was the Scottish Rite Freemasons had a Rosicrucian division or degree, within Freemasonry in the 17th century, I think it was. So again, these ideas kept moving through the centuries from one group to another. But again, there was this idea that if you like, just a small number of people would that were adept in these secret ways of knowledge would go under the surface, but go into influencing positions of power, as Dee did right back when he was influencing Elizabeth I to go to America, and that they would their plan really was to precipitate this apocalypse. I mean, the impression I get of Dee, although I don't think he was entirely without wanting his own something good for himself, I think I get the impression, I mean, centuries ago, and I'm just going third hand or fifth hand reading books about him, but that he did have this genuine thirst for knowledge and enlightenment, and really wanted to have this, what he saw as a positive connection with God, and for humanity to have this positive connection for God. And if you like, on a more material level, he did want Britain to be successful as a nation, and there were occasions where he could have had highly paid posts in places in Europe, but he chose to go back to Britain, and then sometimes he ended up getting in trouble there, and, as I say, locked up in the Tower and even tortured. But I think it seems to me that over the centuries, it's maybe got corrupted a little. Well, maybe not just a little, because it's this idea when people are like, "Oh, we want to really make ourselves powerful. We want to get all this knowledge, but then we're going to keep it secret." And we want humanity to be great. We want humanity to be really close to God, and to be achieving, to make up. But then it's maybe corrupted to that we want ourselves to be God. We want us, our small little group, to be God or like God. So we're going to play God on the people below, the people that don't know we're there, and they're just going about their lives. We want to control that. And as I say, a strong part of this, which is now very strong within the Christian and Judeo-Zionist movements, where it seems again where they talk openly of wanting this third temple in Jerusalem. The new leader of Argentina, who many see as a positive, another sort of right-wing populist leader who's been saying, "Oh, I don't like the globalists and all this," and so a lot of people like us have been saying, "Very great, yeah." But then he was in Israel saying, "Oh yeah, we want, we need the third temple built, and so that's going to usher in the new Messiah." But and again, it's going back to these millennial apocalyptic ideas that were going around in Dee's time, and that so many of these secret societies seem to be pushing forward. But they're wanting destruction for the majority of people. They're wanting the majority of people to suffer and be gone off the planet, so they can control what's left and they can be like gods. And Crowley as well, he was from a Plymouth Brethren family. They're another one of these dissenter Protestant sects who had this apocalyptic view of Christianity, that an apocalypse had to happen for God's heaven to be on earth. And some would say that him making himself, proclaiming himself Beast 666 and the Antichrist, was because there needs to be an Antichrist ushering in the apocalypse before there can be the God then taking what's left and creating the heaven on earth. So there's this idea that to create destruction, they're serving God, or they're creating some spiritual paradise on earth. But how destructive a thing is that, especially if the ones who are left to rule in this paradise are the very few minority that are self-proclaimed. And I just wanted to go back. It was interesting, like very early on in Dee's life, his career, if you like, when he was at university in Cambridge. And he was one of the first fellows of Trinity College in Cambridge, which was set up by Henry VIII. But he, as I say, one of these many interests, he studied optics, creating, manipulating light. And there was a production of an old Greek play that was happening on stage at Cambridge University. And for this, during this play, there's supposed to be this man riding on a scarab, a beetle, flying through the sky. And apparently, somehow, Dee used all these optical illusions with light, and he created this image of like this man on a beetle flying through the sky. And apparently, it was so shocking, the people in the audience thought it was a real thing. And then this was one of these things that then got leveled, that he was
Project Blue Dee.
Oh, Blue Dee.
Blue Dee.
I was going to say, yeah, Project Blue Beam, but Blue Dee, we've got the wordsmith behind me. But yeah, exactly, that's what it made me think of. It's now in the modern day, all these centuries later, we've got people that can do incredible things with holograms, where it looks like monsters are walking down the street or things are crashing from the sky. And you put up on a video
I've got a
in
little
the community
video up of
some of these amazing holograms around the world where people
fucking believable.
So we know what they can do, and if people were unawares without knowing that this is a display put on, you would 100% believe that this was something real that you were seeing. So that to me was quite fascinating as well. So it was using science to deceive people. Okay, this was just a play, but again, these are methods that have come through centuries now, and now with more sophisticated technology and science, people are using it now, or certainly they've got the capability of using that to deceive people, to make them think that reality is different to what they believe. And again, it was interesting to me that this was as part of a play that was being put on, because again, we know that through cinema, TV, now the internet, that's major way how people, the mind control, all these things are put out through the world. And that to me was just an idea again, how this principle started centuries ago, and these methods again will have been passed down through all these different secret societies, and the knowledge that Dee had. So I think this real principle of a small number of people through secret societies, through intelligence services, you've got ideas of bloodlines, royal families. As I say, Dee himself, he thought he was descended from Arthur. And I think it said that when he was proposing that they take over England, colonize, conquer North America, as it would become, he saw Elizabeth I has like an Arthurian character transplanted to that age, and him as Merlin, the wizard, the advisor, that would be by her side. But to me, I think it's just it's really it strikes home how long this has all been going for, and for how many centuries. And it seems that they're building up to a point where this is coming to fruition now, and they're really coming close. I'm not going to say that they're going to get there, because I really think that people are pushing back, but it's just interesting how science is intricately connected with the occult. As I say, right from these early times of Dee, you look for centuries later with Isaac Newton. He was also interested in alchemy and other occult things. and he was one of the early people in the Royal Society. That's another one of these, I guess, not secret society, as it's a Royal Society, it's proclaimed, but again, people there that wanted to use their wisdom to influence. And you get there with the Royal Society, it's sort of the if you like, the overall arching voice, or it has been was for centuries, where it would say what the scientific method was that people had to use, and what was the form of science that people had to consider to be the truth. The earliest recorded examples of a Freemasonry initiation were of people that were in the Royal Society. So again, you've got these real connections between these different societies. A little aside as well, because there were people before Dee as well. There was a couple of Franciscans, a Franciscan friar, Roger Bacon, 13th century, and he was an early exponent of the scientific method, but also operative alchemy. Again, although he was a Franciscan friar, he was said to be a demonic conjurer in his own time, and known as that in Dee's. But Dee was fascinated by him and had so many of his books. He had the most impressive library in England. He had thousands of books in his home in Mortlake in the suburbs of London. And he actually proposed to Mary, when she was queen, that she institute what would have been the British Library before the British Library ever came to exist, hundreds of years before it actually came to exist. But she didn't take any notice of what he proposed. But his own library he created of all these great works, and he used to loan them out to people as well, because he was interested in sharing this knowledge out. But when he was going on these later journeys around Europe, when he came back, while he's gone, his home had been ransacked. A lot of the books had been stolen, destroyed. And that's quite a common theme through history as well. These great libraries of all this great secret knowledge, like Alexandria, etc. We all know about the library under the Vatican. So this idea again of knowledge. To be fair to Dee, I think he did really want to share it out to people, wanting whole of humanity, if you like, or at least a greater number of people to be enlightened and interested in these ideas. But it was stifled, stolen, broken down, and people kept it for themselves. But interesting to think maybe where some of those books ended up. But this idea, like as I say, with Roger Bacon, where he was interested in the scientific method, but he was also taught that you had to, apart from external observation, have inner illumination. And again, this idea that man could reascend the chain of being to get back closer to God before the fall. And he believed this could be done through studying ancient grammars like Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. But even more, I found this fascinating. And there was another, what you'd say, like mad monk now, but Raymond Lull. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him, also known as Dr. Illuminatus. But he was a Franciscan monk. If you look at a picture of him, he looks like his eyes are like he's really in another world. But he had all these waking visions of Christ.
Say his name again.
Raymond Lull, Lull, I think. Sorry, not double L. I think that was a mistype. Lull. Raymond Lull. Apparently, he might have written the first novel. I wasn't aware of that. But he did. This was centuries ago. But he did computational theory, which pioneering work that apparently then influenced centuries later Leibniz. This is all beyond me, all this stuff. But then this theory, obviously, it's just writing is numbers, but that then influenced Alan Turing. So it influenced the making of what became our modern computers. And this Lull, 1272, he had a vision on Mount Randa in Mallorca, in which he saw God's attributes not only mathematically and hierarchically infused throughout all and everything, but also indexed to the letters of the alphabet. So Louvre referred to it as the divine creation as a computer. And Louvre makes an interesting point that we can then trace the origins of modern computing to like this spiritual vision by a monk on a mountaintop. I mean, Louvre made the parallel with Steve Jobs forming Apple after he saw visions in Eastern mysticism and LSD, but maybe we'd question that a bit more in our modern age, how these sort of techie startups and whether they're all their origins are quite as we thought they were. But I think it's important as well, these angelic conversations, although again, as I say, people say, oh, well, Kelly was just having Dee on and pretending to see this stuff, but they came up with these, Kelly was, from what I understand of him, was a really, as I say, he was a bit of a rock and roll type, getting drunk, getting in fights, guilty of forgery, and he doesn't seem to be a knowledgeable person, but he was the one that was transcribing or reading out or describing these symbols and letters in this alphabet. And I mean, Dee obviously was a great scholar and was familiar with all these sort of ancient works in the past, but Kelly wouldn't have been. And it strikes me that he was getting some sort of visions, but then that has the idea, were these really angels? Were they something like the jinn? Were they demonic entities, mischievous spirits? But again, there's this principle of these people, as I say, that have ended up influencing our world. There's also this connection, or they feel they've got a connection. They hear voices, they carry out these rituals, but then that opens up this. So with this influential, small but powerful force behind the scenes, and they are influenced by something that's otherworldly, that is telling them this is the way to go, and this is how you're the promised ones. Maybe if you do this, then everyone else is going to die, but you few, you're chosen. That's right. I'm speaking to you. You can hear the voice of angels. But maybe in our time, we've got where people are getting. With John Nash, actually, could Luke mentioned his book. Someone maybe like a modern day Dee, who was in the 20th century, and he came up. He was a brilliant mathematician, just mind blowing. But he was diagnosed as schizophrenic. But he went through his episodes. But he said he was getting messages from aliens. And I did read a biography of him, and one of the things he was convinced, and he was trying to tell people in power, because he had been very notable and part of this RAND corporation. And I remember reading one thing was that they said, oh, they wanted a one world government. And again, it's like people getting these downloads from people or from entities outside, which is leading to the situation that we find ourselves in. So I think that's also a fascinating idea. But yeah, but to me, Dee, I think he was brilliant. I think maybe his ideas have maybe been twisted since. But to me, he was one of these people, because to me, science, as Bacon said in the 13th century, it's not just about the dissecting external observation of the material world. To actually achieve insight, people have inspiration, and that inspiration, whether it's a scientist who has a breakthrough, it's like a poet or an artist or a spiritual visionary, it's all coming from this same place. And I think maybe that spiritual intuition is maybe the counterbalance to whatever these entities from outside are telling us. And if we really want a paradise on earth, it's to tap into this individual inspiration which all of us have within us, and it's getting that spark within everyone of humanity and letting that out rather than a secret few controlling and bringing an apocalypse on the rest of us, so they get some control with what they think is some connection to some higher power. Right, I think I've conked out now, so
You conked out. Have a bit of water.
I'll have a bit of water. But what do people in the chat think? What about anyone else have been saying in the chat? There's this bloody boring old bloke going on about.
Mari said, didn't you say he went to jail or something once?
Yeah, he was imprisoned in the Tower for a bit. I think it was around this time after Henry VIII, and then there was his son Edward, and I think Henry VIII said he would be succeeded by Edward, then his daughter Mary, then his youngest daughter Elizabeth. But Edward, when Henry VIII died, Edward was only like 13 or something, so he was officially the king. But this the country was actually really run by this sort of King's Council, and this Duke of Northumberland was basically in charge, and he was controlling everything. So when Edward got ill and he was going to die, then Northumberland basically, it was supposed to be Mary to take over, but he sort of had a bit of a coup, if you like, for his own interests, to put his daughter-in-law, Lady Jane Grey, in as queen instead. But she's I think the shortest reigning ever monarch. She only lasted 9 days, and then Mary took power again, and Jane and Northumberland were all beheaded. But I think that was Dee's father, Roland, was associated with Northumberland, so he got put in the Tower for that. And then Dee, I think, ended up with the Tower. I think he had such a sort of mixed relationship with royalty, because at one time Mary came in and she was fervently Catholic, although Henry had broken away with Catholicism, and she was known as Bloody Mary, and she was like burning loads of Protestants at the stake. So Dee then said, "Oh, I'm a Catholic," and as I say, some think that maybe he was spying for Elizabeth against Mary. Maybe that's one of the reasons that she put him in the Tower at some point. But again, it was around allegations that he was doing witchcraft, and the principal claim, which was true, which was that he had done astrological charts for people like Elizabeth. So he was kicked in the Tower, but he got away with it, you know, whereas some people were burnt at the stake or beheaded or whatever, but he was allowed to go free, but he had all this suspicion against him for years afterwards. But then eventually, when Elizabeth got power, he came back into favor. And but yeah, astrology, he was very adept at astrology, fascinated by astrology. So he did astrological charts for Elizabeth. She wanted to know when the best day for her coronation would be. And it ties up as well, again, as I say, it connects with science, and he made a science of things like astrology, you know. And, you know, I'm sure people like Maury and others in the chat will agree totally with that there is something very real and powerful with it. And he wrote in one of his works about that everything in the universe emits these rays, and that these rays will then affect everything else in the universe. And some have talked about it being like an early theory of gravity, centuries before Newton. As I said, Newton himself was very interested in the occult, alchemy. But of course, that would connect him with astrology, the idea of other bodies in space, having influence on humans on Earth and amongst everything else. And again, we also have an effect on those amongst us. So yeah, a really fascinating guy.
Was he shagging the Queen?
Who's that from? Ego Shredder.
No. I think Ben said that there was Francis Bacon was their love child or something. I might be getting that wrong.
Well, that's something I am not aware of. But Francis Bacon is another one that was similar to Dee, another one which is talked about in Lou's book as maybe someone else who took that mantle, because he was very much an early proponent of science, but is claimed also was interested in these ancient forms of wisdom. So again, this principle of man could get back to this pre-fall of in the Garden of Eden, get back to this prior state when they have a closer connection to God and the angels.
And did he go to Egypt?
Not that I'm aware of. Just as far as I'm aware, it was mainly just around Europe, many places in Europe. But certainly when he was in Bohemia, I think particularly there'd been a lot of Jewish scholars that had come up from, I guess, what's now Egypt and Middle East, probably fleeing different things, and they brought a lot of these ideas about the Kabbalah to places like Bohemia, and he was very interested in that, and also the Hermetic magic. I think Mari's saying there, Chaldean culture, Egyptian magic. So, yeah, all of those. He, as I say, he had just had thousands of books in his library, and he was just like one of these prodigious people. He was influenced by many people that he met. He, as I say, he studied at Cambridge, but then he went to Leiden, I think, which is around what's now Holland, Netherlands, and there were, I think he met Agrippa, who'd written a lot of books on magic, but also he was a student and friend of Mercator, who was this map maker and made what is now the map that we see, the world map, the way that the continents are sort of put side by side on that, like in a rectangle. That was completely different to how the medieval maps used to be. And as I say, John Dee was an adept cartographer himself and made maps that helped this exploration and conquering of North America. And that, to me, that's another sort of, well, I suppose sort of like symbols, but it's another way of dividing up the material world with, almost like symbolic lines and symbols to I don't know. To me, it's like another form of creating something with the material world. So, and trying to put your essence into it or something. I don't know.
Chaos magic.
Yeah, well, all of this, it's all a line that goes along. And as I say, obviously, hugely influenced Crowley, and then of course Crowley influenced so much magic practitioners and occult practitioners as well as, of course, all the popular culture, etc. From the centuries after, that we've coming after.
So Nash, he was a beautiful mind bloke.
Yeah.
So have a drink and have a little chat about him.
Yeah, well, another.
Say his name because they might not have heard me.
John Nash. So yeah, he. I'm trying to remember the. I'm trying to remember some of the theories he came up with, but again, a lot of it's beyond me because it's very, it's physics and it's mathematics. So it's something that I can't grasp. But again, he's one of these people who's held up a genius, but then he went mad, in the common parlance, and for years he had these. Suffer from schizophrenia, in and out of mental institutions. But as I say, he said during this time that he was getting messages from aliens. They wanted a one world government, and he was trying to get people to listen to him. But of course, this is all the one world government is all the New World Order sort of thing. But he was working then for the RAND organization, which we know is one of these sort of think tanks. It was all this collecting of all these scientific types, but using their brilliance to further the agenda of
It's just a list of his things that he came up with.
oh yeah, okay. Nash equilibrium. Yeah, I can't speak anything. Non-game theory. Yeah, I know that was something that he was. I don't quite understand what it is, but I know that he's very big on it. He did stuff on economic theory. But I mean, he was around at the time in the RAND Corporation, where a lot of these dodgy people, whose names escape me now, but that I'm not sure if Cameron was part of that. I don't know, but people that would be and did do all these experiments and stuff about mind control. So that makes me think: was he being used by them? That was he part of this? That a secret thing where he was with these people in this organization, and maybe they were targeting him and they were using him and they were putting these voices in his head. So that's something which I think it might be interesting to explore. But as we all know, the idea of the visionary and the scientist, I mean, Tesla as well, of course, he said that he got, I think he had heard voices, or someone told him a lot of the things that he
downloads from.
Yeah. So I think there's this intrinsic connection with between the inspiration and, if you want to call it, a poetic spiritual impulse. To me, there shouldn't be the division between science and the spiritual. I was always very, because William Blake, someone else I might talk about later, but I was very influenced by him when I read a lot of him when I was younger, and his idea that he did a famous picture of Newton, although, as I say, Newton was interested in alchemy, but with Newton as this sort of giant, sort of mythical creature, but he was with this sort of like
Say night to Ben.
Oh, night, Ben. I hope you enjoyed your wine, mate. And he was bending down these protractors like as if he was just trying to divide up a small part of the ground, and there was this giant rock that he was sitting on, and he was just sort of ignoring it. And I think of this idea of this, which a lot of modern materialism science is, just dividing up the world, the universe, into sort of pulleys, and this mechanical idea, which again seems to me a corruption. Like I say, there was this guy, this monk that could be said to be like with a vision that started this train of ideas that led to the modern computing. But it seems like it's gone the other way now. When he had this vision of like universe as like a giant, I think it was a term of Louvre in the book, that like a giant computer, but it was just this idea that everything was all connected, and there was, if you like, a code to it, letters, numbers, that everything was intrinsically linked. But it was like a mystical, everything was all linked. But now you've got these simulation theory people, and they talk about it as if we're all in a giant computer game. And again, it seems to me that's just an extension of this transhumanism idea and AI, just that we're all mechanistic, and we're all just part of a big program. And again, that to me seems to be cutting out the spiritual and the human. And I suppose in a way that's what Ike's saying, because he believes again that we're in a simulation. But I suppose what he's saying is that we can break out of it, and we need to see beyond and outside of the simulation and the mind control, to see beyond the little tiny spectrum of light and and what we can perceive with our five senses, and we need to break out of that because it's all an illusion. And this goes as well into sort of again ancient mystical ideas from the East as well. Vedanta, Hinduism, I think it is, which the universe is Maya, it's illusion. To me, they're just different ways of saying it's like a computer simulation, but I guess I prefer the spiritual way of looking at it. But I would agree again, maybe with Ike, it's about we need to try and get out of the five senses and maybe a sort of a spiritual connection that's outside of this sort of matrix, to what coin a term. It was interesting actually when they talked, when I said about he had this theory, Dee, about rays emitting from everything. And he, as I say, followed this guy, Roger Bacon, not Francis Bacon, but the earlier Roger Bacon, who saw from the Bible how everything started, let there be light, and that light was the principal thing. And if you can somehow manipulate that, then you can manipulate the universe. And that made me think, because I just hearing that Ike interview with Alex Jones, I don't know if people heard that, and he was mentioning again, I know he said it before, but about the idea of simulation. But then he was saying, like quite a recent scientist had said, who believed in simulation theory, and was saying, and it was like the question, what will be the limits of the simulation? And he said it would be the speed of light. So that made me think of that then. And it's again, light maybe is the secret to, I don't know, but I'm rambling again. Any more questions?
Not really.
Maybe we should call it a night.
Give it a go. We give it an end.
We give it an end.
Give it an end.
I agree, Igor Shred. It's only a computer simulation if you observe it that way. So let's take it as the spiritual and the human.
Right. So thanks everybody.
Thanks for listening to my ramblings.
We'll say bye. We're putting that on because what we found is it's quite funny at the end to do a funny thing and have it as a thumbnail.
And you got a thumbs up it as well.
I've already told him to.
Oh well, I'm telling him again.
Thumbs up it.
Thumbs up it.
Hit a bell.
Hit a bell.
And subscribe.
Have we got to do something?
I don't know.
Is it good seamless?
No, we haven't done it yet.
No, well,
we could have the right. So we're going to make a thumbnail.
I'm looking like John Dee with my beard now. I need a big.
And I'm Elizabeth.
Right, so I need to press.
John Dee and Elizabeth.
Oh yeah.
God. Take the black thing out. We're going to make a thumbnail with the spacecraft.
Right.
Oh, where should that go? We'll look at it like this. This is going to be our thumbnail. Okay. Because when we turn it off, as you know, it takes a few minutes for it to shut off. So we shut up, Liz. Bye. Love you guys.
Love you.
You look like you're doing that at me. Hold on. You got to wait a minute. Keep doing it.